No.
Still hear a lot of humming noise.
Okay, hang on a second. Let me go into settings and mic settings and sensitivity. Okay, how was that?
That's a little better, I think.
That's better.
Yeah, I just lowered the mic sensitivity because fan on the computer every time we open it. Yeah, I see a lot of. Okay, perfect.
Well, you have a big fan.
All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and keep the headphones on so everyone can hear it better. So, yeah, what we're going to do, as I was saying, one of the Icon agents here, and they'll give. We'll start out with each one of them giving you a quick bio, and we have a lot of great information to share with you guys today. So hopefully, we're going to give you a lot of stuff that you can today to help increase your business. So, my name is Jamie Parker. I am a former school teacher turned Icon agent in the Atlanta, Georgia area. And last year sold 52 homes and $12.3 million in production. Okay, so that is my quick. All right, I am still hearing there is still some audio coming out. Is this better?
Like when you speak, Jamie, you know that like the static is still coming out.
Static is still coming out as we're.
Yeah, so maybe just when you ask questions and then mute it, and then when you ask the question.
Yeah, let me try to mute.
Yeah, but this morning it was perfect though.
Yeah, I know we did a test run this morning. All of us icons we met this morning prior to draw up our sound was good, and well, some of the things we were going to talk about. Any better? Okay, gotcha. All right, so let's go ahead and introduce our Icon agents today. So let me go ahead and pull everything up. Yeah, we will get rolling. So our first Icon agent today is Karen Romero, and she is out of the Tampa area in Florida. So Karen, why don't you tell us give us a quick bio?
Yeah, sure. Hi, Jamie. Thank you so much for hosting. It's always an honor to be here. I have been in the real estate industry for 23 years. I was licensed in 1997. I became a broker in 2003, although I never opened up my own brokerage. I was always, with another brokerage, and I had a team in 2000 to 2008 where we sold over 30 million a year. Then obviously the crash happened, and everyone kind of disbanded. I became a solo agent, and since then I've been on my own. I sell last year I sold 14 million, 38 units. I average anywhere from 12 to 10 to 12 million a year. So that's me.
All right, perfect. Let's go on over to Jeffrey from the Boston area in Massachusetts.
Hi. Thanks for hosting. And so Jeff Chubb in Boston. I serve the whole Boston metro market. Last year sold about 100 units worth somewhere in the ballpark about 35 million. I was growing the team to be quote unquote mega status. I had hired a team leader who did a really, quite frankly, crappy job hiring dead weight. Beginning of the year, we had 20 people on the team, most doing absolutely nothing, to the point where the team is, I've fired him as well as a lot of agents recently. And now I'm back down to 6. I got my license during the Great Recession. So a lot of parallels from that and what could be ahead of us. And that's pretty much my bio.
Okay. And next we have Wee Wen from Texas. So go ahead, let's take it away, Wee.
Hey, Jamie, everyone. Yeah, so I'm Huy, and I'm from Houston, Texas, and I've been in the industry for about 5 years. So still pretty much a baby here compared to everyone on the stage, and looking forward to learn a lot from everybody. Let's see what else. I closed last year. I closed about 60 houses. But yeah, first year, I would say first year is pretty tough. It's pretty horrible. But I tell you what, second year is better. Third year, you cap, and then fourth year you make icon. Anyway, nice to meet everybody. Back to you, Jimmy.
All right, perfect. Well, thank you guys for sharing. So you can see we have a wealth of knowledge here on stage to share with you guys. So, okay, we're going to open up with Karen today. And so we're going to, first question that we're going to ask is, Karen, what is your real estate superpower? I mean, what is the secret sauce? What makes you tick? What makes you successful as an agent? I know it's not necessarily just one thing. There's a multitude of things, but what would you say is like your main, Superman can fly and has super strength. What is your superpower, Karen?
I wish I was Superwoman. Anyway, for me, honestly, I have to say it's being authentic. When I'm with clients, when I first meet people, I'm always authentic. I'm always myself. I don't embellish. And I think people appreciate that. And I think that's the way that I can build relationships, because my business is a relational business. And it has been for, most of my career. So I definitely, would say just being authentic and, and never saying I can't do this. I always find a solution.
Gotcha. So true. So many of our clients trust us to not just sell real estate, but also to solve their problems. They usually come to us. A lot of times they have a problem or a life circumstance happening. Okay, we'll go to Jeff. What about you, Jeff? What's your how are you more Batman or are you more Superman?
I'm just a man. No, my secret sauce would probably be around lead generation and marketing. I'm not a pick up the phone and call people and prospecting and outbound prospector, really. I've really built my business on making sure that I've always had enough inbound prospects in order to find the business that I need. So, for example, in January, we acquired somewhere in the ballpark of 1,300 to 1,400 leads. In February, as I was starting to fire people, I had brought that down to 1,000 leads, and then this stuff happened with coronavirus, so I've obviously trimmed that down. But even now, today, yesterday, I put up a new type of ad where I'm generating leads for 86 cents a piece. So needless to say, at 86 cents a piece, I'll probably be increasing my marketing budgets in order to be buying the leads for the fall and winter markets that will be coming up ultimately. So lead gen, that's always been a strength of mine.
All right, so let me expand on that one other thing before we go to lead. So what would you say? I know we're kind of going off a little bit, but so when you said you were able to get like 1,400 leads in January, what is it? Give us a little nugget. I'm sure everybody here is like, oh my gosh, how do I get 1,400 leads in a month? What is it? Can you give us a little nugget about kind of how you accomplish that?
Well, the how is really easy. Acquiring 1,400 leads, if you give me a budget and you give me, an hour, I can create the marketing that will generate those leads. That's really not the issue. Really, the issues for a massive lead generation like that are the systems that you need in place in order to handle the 1,400 leads. Essentially follow up, making sure that, for each and every single one of those 1,400 leads that you're, what are your conversation rates, that your conversation rates aren't dipping. So, the generation of 1,400 leads, that consisted of Facebook leads, pay-per-click leads, to obviously, sphere of influence leads. The majority, I shouldn't say more than half were probably Facebook leads, and then followed by pay-per-click leads. So I'm a firm believer that I buy lead generation in many different sources because they all perform different times and differently. Really, it's all about a return on investment to me. So
Awesome sauce. Yeah. Well, very good. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing that. So, what would you say your real estate superpower is?
Hey Jamie. So listening to you guys speaking is really blow my mind because the way I work is I guess it's quite different. I gonna pick on Fee. On what you say this just a moment ago. I don't realize that I do that until she actually say it. So, Fee make a really good point about being micro famous in your little area. And I think I kind of do that, unconsciously, and I didn't even know that I do that. So that I guess that kind of like my secret sauce, just serving, in my little area, be the people that people go to for help, for advice. And I guess another thing that whenever I work with somebody else, I always try to go the extra mile. So I know it's not so much of a secret sauce, but I always think of, if you, Jamie, if you give me $1, I have to somehow deliver the value back to you. It has to be more it has to be more than $1. Otherwise it's gonna be very hard for me to build my business organically. So you have to give before you take, and for me that's a rule of thumb, and that's I guess I kind of like my secret sauce.
All right. Perfect. Well, thank you so much. So we heard a lot about relationships. Real estate is very much a relationship driven business, and here's some of that commonality among the icons on stage. So one of the things in order to focus on relationships is what do you do to delegate? Sometimes we got to be the everything. So what are some of the tasks that you regularly delegate out to others to focus on your one thing, which I guess would be for most agents should be lead generation. So I'll let Jeffrey start with that.
People generally don't believe it, but I run a really, really, really lean company. So, like I said, I fired my team leader at that time. He was really my only admin support. I don't have an admin, which goes against the grain of pretty much what everybody says. I do have a virtual person in the Philippines. He's what I call an accountability manager. And basically what he does is he goes into my CRM and really the agent's accounts each day and analyzes their leads and makes sure that they're doing the proper follow-up as our systems as I've really created for our systems. So in other words, A, buyers need to be followed up once a week, B, buyers need to be followed up once every 2 weeks, C, buyers once a month. So Andre is going in there to make sure that all buyer agents are properly following up with our leads and giving them calls. I have a marketing, a virtual marketing design person too, if you will. I publish a lot of white papers. So, marketing pieces that have, I just recently did one, how to increase the value of your home while stuck in quarantine, right? So I have somebody do that marketing, but even then I'm the one that, created all the content, if you will, that went in that. I do a lot of videos. I'm, believe it or not, still the one that actually edits those videos. And I'm also the one that manages all of my Facebook accounts. I have my company that does my CRM. They manage my Google pay-per-click, but and then another company that retargets all of our leads with ads for houses that are similar to the ones that they're looking. But I personally handle all video retargeting of X, Y, and whatever videos that or content that I'm trying to retarget and get back in front of the consumers. So I probably could utilize and leverage other people better. Probably sell a lot more houses that way. But in this current environment, I believe in, for example, I had 2 ads out before all this happened, one hiring a full-time videographer and hiring an administrative assistant. Needless to say, then this all happened, and I pulled down those ads rather, thinking that I was going to be just wanting to make sure that I'm watching my overhead expenses. So.
Gotcha. How about you, Karen?
Yeah, and I'm going to answer a question from the audience. Any advice for new agents? I'm total opposite of Jeffrey's business. My lead generation consists of relationships. I'm not good at the lead generation online, Facebook, things like that. I do have a partner that I partnered with a year ago that he handles that. But, I would say, especially right now, because we don't know what's going to happen in the next several months with real estate. I've talked to other agents that I know from other brokerages, and they're like, hey, we're hunkering down. And I guess I kind of come from the opposite. I don't think it's a time to hunker down. I think if you're limited with your budget, you make connections, make a list of your top 100 people that you have relationships with, reach out, try and network. So for me, my most effective lead generation is making connections, keeping my connections, and getting business from them. Also, another good thing maybe at this time for lead generation would be maybe you might want to connect with a probate attorney now, or a foreclosure attorney. Maybe learn short sales. I did short sales for 3 years straight. That's how I survived selling $9 million a year during the financial crisis. So for me, that's always in the back of my mind. Pivot. Let's pivot. So hopefully that answers that.
Yeah, absolutely. And there was there was an article a few weeks ago in Forbes magazine about whatever kind of marketing and some stuff you're doing. They were just encouraging businesses to, if you can afford to do so, still maintain and still keep yourself out in the public eye, so that you're showing the public that you're still out there doing business and you're ahead of the game after all this is over. So, what about you? What are some of the things you do to delegate?
Okay. So paperwork, is a short answer. Paperwork, admin work, and simply because that I'm so bad at it. So I don't know if any of you guys can relate, but it took me like 3-4 times to get an agreement to type correctly. I keep missing that checkbox every time, and every single time I load to Skylope, I found I missed another stupid checkbox, and I was like so if I do like admin work, I would fire myself. So so that when I decided to hire TC, a transaction coordinator. And I think that's one of the good decisions that I make, for the past 2 years, because I kind of free my time up, to do some other stuff, just because I'm so bad at it. Yeah. But think about that, even though you're good at paperwork, I'm telling you right now, you guys should get a TC, a transaction coordinator. I think, our job as a real estate agent is not doing paperwork. Okay. Our job is to generate lead, bring home the business and negotiate deal. Leave the paperwork, part to somebody else. If you are so good at paperwork, maybe you should become a TC already. So anyway, back to you, Jamie.
Yeah, absolutely. I was back in the day. I was actually forced to hire a transaction coordinator by my previous broker. They were like, "That's not your strength. You better hire somebody." So it definitely allows you to focus on, like what we were saying, on the stuff. And if you don't like doing something, I saw Julie in one of the comments, if you don't like doing something, hire somebody else to do it. So, okay, let's go on to one of our next questions. So we'll go to Karen.
So actually, can I just say something there real quick? So,
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think people are really quick to hire additional people and quote unquote leverage themselves. One of the biggest problems when people quote unquote leverage themselves is they hire somebody and then they don't use that time they've freed up in order to go out to get other business. which is just a way and a cause to drastically, and I'm not saying anybody on the stage is doing that, but it's a way to increase your overhead when necessarily you aren't necessarily ready to do it, because that's the quote unquote guided way of everybody says this is the next step and this is the next step and that's the next step. So just for the people out in the audience that hear stuff like that, you hire somebody when you're 100% ready and you're truly going to be disciplined enough in order to take that time that you freed up in order to go out and get new business that will pay for that person.
Absolutely. Anybody you hire should actually help you create more income for your business and not to take away. Absolutely right, Jeffrey. So let's see. Let's go ahead and go to we. So what do you attribute to your ICON success? How did you do it, and how long did it take you to get to ICON? So, what is?
Yeah. So I think I kind of touched a little bit about it just on the previous secret sauce. So number one, I think always go the extra mile. Try to deliver more value that you actually get in terms of a dollar, and yeah. And I guess one other thing that contribute to my ICON success, I kind of know my clientele, so I can visualize, my perfect client. And I think if you don't know who your ideal client is, it's gonna be very hard for you to attract them into your business. So if you don't know who your ideal client is, the ideal buyer, seller, or investor, you need to sit on a corner after this meeting and you need to meditate it out. Like without this, you're gonna run your business like everywhere, like I do in the beginning, and it's very, it's gonna have a heavy tax toll on your mental. So by doing this, you're gonna know where to go ahead. Oh, so if you know this, you know where to focus your time and your business. You don't have to fight an uphill battle in your business. Sometimes you can go off track or pick up a client here and there, but if you know where to focus to find your ideal client, I think that single factor, of knowing exactly who I serve, really contribute to my ICON success. But yeah, second part of the question is how long it take me to get to ICON. Like I told you guys in the beginning, I love to lie to y'all that this thing is easy, but my first year at EXP is pretty horrible. Okay, I chase around lead with no script, no plan. I don't know who's my ideal client is. I take every lead that's coming in, go show them houses. It's a mess. But sometime in the business, you just want to get in your car and drive away and never go back. So just to let you guys know, that's me first year. I struggle just like everybody else. Like this thing sucks. But you know what? I stick around. I keep learning. I keep getting to the cloud. I think one other good thing that I did, I keep connect and try to hang out with people who's more successful than me. I stick with my sponsor. They're really good, and before you know it, second year is better, third year is better, and then, you're going to ICON before you know it. Anyway, back to you, Jamie.
All right, sounds good. How long have you been at EXP? I know you said you've been in real estate 5 years, but how long have you been?
I've been in real estate 5 years. Yeah, quit my job. I quit my job 3 years ago, and that's where I joined EXP. So I was a part-time agent working at Schlumberger. I have an IT job, and then, things happen. I decide to get, file layoff, and then, I jump into EXP full-time.
Gotcha, perfect. All right, what about you, Jeff?
Are you asking how long it took me, like, this year in order to get to ICON? Or
well, yeah. So how long did it take you to ICON or reach that level of production, and how long have you been with EXP? I mean, some of us.
Oh, okay. So I've been with EXP. I guess it will be 2 years in July. I came from Remax. I was already at the level of production that would have brought me to ICON status. So nothing's changed in that sense, except now I get $16,000 in stock. Well, I should say $12,000 in stock, and I didn't have anything after being one of Remax's top agents for many years in stock for 10 years. So I would say, so I got licensed in 2008. My first year in the business, I made over 100,000. So I'm not sure when. I guess I would have been icon I'd be icon status level ish, if you will, within a year of going into the business, I would say.
Gotcha. Okay, awesome. How about you, Karen?
Yeah, I just like Jeffrey. I have been with EXP for 2 years. April 1st was my anniversary. I came from Remax. I was there 17 years, and I was always Platinum Club or above, which again is the production for Icon. So, I guess for me, probably looking back, way back when, from 97 to, I'm going to say probably 3 years, it took me when I first started in the business to get to the Icon level.
Think about how much money we would have had if Remax would have given an Icon. It drives me up the wall.
I kick myself. I'm like, I wish someone would have called me in 2009. Okay, I really wish someone would have called me in 2009. Why didn't any of you back then call me?
I know.
Because I've got a whole closet of plaques.
Yeah, I do have some nice shiny plaques too.
And I know we're not allowed to say, I'm not going to say numbers, but I am just flabbergasted at the amount of stock that I have in 2 years. It's just ridiculous. So, but again, just the Icon level is achievable, I guess is what I would say. I don't think it matters how long it takes you to get there. It is achievable. I am not a 50 million plus top producer. I'm just an individual that partnered up with someone a year ago, and I've been doing the same consistent work year after year. It just takes a plan.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. I'm sitting here in my office, and I'm looking at all my Keller Williams plaques for all those years I was there, and I wish I'd had stock as opposed to that are doing nothing but just taking up space. So totally get it. All right, so let's go on. Let's talk about scheduling. That is always an interesting topic. So what is your schedule? Karen, let's start with you. What time do you get up? What do you do? What is your tell us a little bit about what your day-to-day looks like.
Okay, all my friends laugh at me all the time. I'm in bed at 9 p.m. and I am up at 5 a.m. So that is me. I'm a morning person. I like to get up. I like to set my intention for the day. And what I mean by that is, I like to set, what is my goal? What do I want to accomplish today? Because I'm not really a good organizer, scheduler, like stay on track, because I'm the type of person that if my phone rings, I got to pick it up. I can't just let it go. And I'm not saying that's good at all or bad. That's just how I do my business. So I like to set my intention for the day. If it's reaching out to, if it's, reaching out to clients, if it's following up with things. So I do that. And then, I am usually at the office by 10 a.m. Because I do like to have a physical space that I go to because my place is small. So I like to get out, and then for the day it's just trying to get business, setting up appointments, making sure systems or closings are running smoothly. So I wouldn't say I'm the best person to say I'm on a set time schedule by any means. So I probably have to work on that.
All right, we're getting better at it every day, right?
Right.
So, okay, how about you, Wee?
Yeah, so I'm kind of with Karen on this. I try to get more structure. I'm very guilty of this. I don't have like a set schedule that I do. Every but I tell you what, one of the things that I start to follow this year, I follow one of the trainer guy in the Sunday night classes that I attend. like instead of scheduling each day, I sort of like have a team, for each day. For example, Monday, I have a team, it's VIP call and listing update, for example. Tuesday, I have a rev share team. Tuesday, my mind will focus on rev share. Wednesday, I tend to focus on other business, like, like my rental, my flip, my Airbnbs, and then Thursday, I go back to, brokering, real estate deal again. So I don't have a set of schedule per day, but like I have a team, like on that day when I wake up, let's say on a Tuesday I wake up, my mind is going to start thinking about rev share, and the action that I do, the thought that I do is more leaning toward rev share. Of course, you need to take, care of your day-to-day business, but a lot of, like free time that I can get in a day is, for example, Tuesday, it's just going toward rev share, stuff like that.
Perfect. Great. Those are some great ideas, Lee. What about you, Jeffrey?
Well, pre-coronavirus, I had to be a lot more regiment with my schedule. So I'm a little bit opposite of Karen. I stay up until 11, generally 10:30, 11, and I'm, working, and I'm getting up later, 7:30. I plan out my schedule the day before. Well, pre-coronavirus, I would always have my schedule planned out and time blocked the day beforehand. There's a book out there that I highly recommend. It's called Own Your Day. That was a really instrumental book in regards to helping me prioritize and make the most of my days. I hired him as a coach. He wasn't a very good coach, so just read the book. Don't hire him as a coach. But for me, and then I do have scheduled Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We have our morning huddles for the team, which are at 8:30 in the morning. Tuesdays, we have our team meetings at 9:30. But really, for the coronavirus last month, I come into my office and I have a 6-foot tall whiteboard, my coronavirus response board of basically my business plan that I'm mapping out for the world post coronavirus. I was before this call, I was working on something, and then after this call, I'll be working on the same thing. So I have my projects basically that I'm just kind of, ticking away on the list.
Gotcha. Awesome stuff, guys. So we've heard you mention a few times, and a couple of other accounts, the coronavirus. I think we need to just kind of talk a little bit about the elephant in the room, so to speak. What are you guys seeing in your markets? What are you seeing? How has this affected your business? What has it affected your business? It's Atlanta, we're still doing really just as strong as we were before all this. I've had a few people drop out, but for the most part, it's if not anything, I'm actually busier than I was. So what are you seeing down in Tampa, Karen?
Well, the dynamic about Tampa is, as you get closer to the beaches, it's a different dynamic, because now a lot of your sales are investors or people that want second homes. We have a lot of clients that travel from up north. I personally had 3 or 4 clients from the Northeast cancel travel plans here to purchase in the spring. So I have seen a little bit of an effect, in regards to that section, like my inventory on the beach. Now, if I go inland to more residential areas, our market under like the 300,000, it still flies off the shelf. I mean, because the inventory is so low. But I am starting to see, sellers say, you know what, I think we're going to take our house off the market and wait till this passes. So, what I'm doing right now is just looking for the people that have to sell, that have to buy, and just help them as much as I can. And then, like Jeff, have a plan for when this is over for your clients that don't want to sell right now, but they do in the future. So I think everyone is going to see some sort of effect. I just think, like in the real estate industry as normal, it's going to take a couple months for us to see it, because, I had, probably 5 closings in April, but, May, June, that's probably going to be a little slimmer.
Gotcha. Definitely. So I can, and it didn't even really click to me with you being in Tampa. all the northern traffic that you know. What about you, Wee?
Can you help me repeat the question again? I'm sorry.
What have you seen? You know, how is this the quarantine, the coronavirus? How is that? How is that affecting your business, or has it affected your business?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. Uh-huh.
what do you see price wise? I see Tim
I see.
and in Atlanta asked about
Yeah.
our prices dropping. So you know,
Yeah.
what are your thoughts? What
Yeah.
are you Houston?
Yeah. So I actually was, I was writing some messages on this topic on Bigger Pocket just a moment ago. So so what I see, like right now, this is just for me, okay? So as of this, last couple of weeks, I see that at least all my listing, or or like the listing that all the agent that I know, we are still moving pretty well in Houston. However, we are running into like an extreme escrow issue with, stuff like a lot of lender, they are unable to close the deal on time, like due to like various factor like appraisal delay. We have a whole bunch of appraisal delay right now. A lot of our buyer is getting furlough, and unfortunately, when you get furlough, you have to back out of the contract. And, there's just some other issue that extend the closing date. So I would say, as far as I can tell in Houston, it's my listing is still moving, but it's a very bumpy ride than normal. And as a listing agent, I need to take an extra time, and precaution, to vet the lender, vet the buyer, and vet the buyer agent, and to make sure that they are like solid before we go into escrow. And but yeah, other than that, I recently placed a lot of offer for my investor client, and I tell you what, surprisingly, they are still like a dozen offer, 15 offer, 20 offer chasing a flooded home in Houston. And I bet most of those offers going to be still above asking price. So that's what I see right now. And so unlike the last recession, I see this more like a stagflation, coming up. You can look up the definition of the stagflation. The amount, I see the amount of available capital or cheap money, these are still excessive in the economy. These money are ready to deploy and, still keep the price up and bid up the price. So that's just my opinion.
Gotcha. And speaking of money, we've heard a couple of hard money lenders. A lot I've heard, requiring now instead of 10 or 20% down, now they're requiring 40% down.
Exactly.
Well, are you seeing that in Houston as well?
Yeah, it's starting up. So I know that all the non-QM loan is gone. Like the non-traditional loan that was happening before the crisis, all of those stuff is gone now. I actually on my listing, I don't even I cannot accept FHA right now because the risk involved with FHA is just so much right now, and Chase is already tightening up the the lending credential. So your buyer pool gets smaller and smaller and smaller. So back to my point in the beginning, I take like super, like extra time to vet the lender, make sure they know what the hell they're doing. I vet the buyer, make sure they are not in the in the job, that's gonna have impact later on. And I even make sure that the buyer agent, I look at how many deals that they close. I make sure that they are a solid agent before, we go under escrow. Other than that, we're just wasting time.
Gotcha. And how about you, Jeffrey?
The higher end of the market is definitely taking a hit, and it's going to continue to take a hit. I mean, when you talk about the psychology of a higher end buyer, they're the ones that had the money in the stock market that took a 40% hit in a lot of their portfolios. So they're less likely to kind of cash out, if you will, at a loss and go put their money into real estate. I think the biggest part of that is really comes down to education, making sure that people realize in the last 5 recessions, 3 out of those 5, we increased housing prices. The one recession everybody knows in 2008 was housing caused, and we know what happened to housing prices. The only other recession where home prices went down was in 91, where home prices went down nationally 1.9%, which really isn't that much of a correction. So ultimately, I don't think prices are really going to matter much, but are going to be adjusted or changed that much. In the effects of coronavirus, I mean, this month we probably should have pended somewhere in the ballparks of 20, 25. We're probably 5 or 7 this month, so we're definitely being affected. But I'll tell you that the pipeline of buyers that we have and that we're building, because we are constantly calling them and making the calls. I'm really excited for once this hysteria kind of settles. But the biggest thing for this time period is I've been working a lot on myself and building my own skills. So I always joked with myself is I wonder what I could do with a month of not doing anything and just working on my business. So it took a world epidemic in order for me to get my month, but I got it. And just from the retargeting and these campaigns that I've built out that will last years, and should continue to lead generate many years down the road. I mean, there's a lot of opportunity in any crisis, and hopefully people are looking at the opportunity from this crisis rather than being focused on the negatives of this crisis, because we can't do anything about it. We can just learn and adapt is really what I have to, my opinion on it all.
Gotcha. And just real quick, while we're still on the topic, and then we'll move on. Are your markets starting to open? I know in the state of Georgia, very controversial. Our governor just lifted stay-at-home place and allowed gyms and hair salons, movie theaters to reopen as of today. Are you guys seeing that in your markets?
I'll go first. I mean, in Massachusetts, real estate agents are listed as essential, so we can still show houses. Quite frankly, even if we weren't, I'd still be showing a house if the seller allowed me to. That's just me. But our biggest problem is for the fact that just sellers aren't coming to the market. I mean, we have even more of a inventory issue as there's less inventory on the markets, and the buyer demand is still really there.
Gotcha. Are some of your businesses closed right now? Are they being allowed, like those hair salons, and allowed to reopen yet, or not yet?
Yeah, are you asking me, Jamie? I didn't hear them.
Well, yeah, and I guess we could go, Karen. Are they?
Yeah. So we, all of our governor just opened up the beaches, which created a big social media outlash because apparently there was like some postings up in the panhandle of hundreds of people on the beach. So ours personally here in Clearwater are not open yet. I assume they're going to be, but everything else is still closed. Only takeout at the restaurants, and banks by appointment only. But our hair salons, nail salons, things like that, nothing has opened up yet. So we are essential. Real estate is essential. In March I probably showed more of my listings and had buyers that I did take out, with the precaution. But what I'm finding is my sellers, especially the ones that are, might be at risk, they're like, Karen, we just don't want to take the risk of having anyone come in our house. So me personally, I've been utilizing the 360 tours, that we have, because you can do a live walkthrough. So, I mean, I think it's just going to be, we're still in the business. There's still going to be people that have to buy and sell. You just have to, again, pivot, for lack of a better word, and, figure out how to get it done for those that are really serious about it, that have to sell, that have to buy.
Gotcha. How about in Houston?
Hey, sorry, I'm on mute, but yeah, I thought I answered this question already. I mean, same thing in Houston.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Once you go ahead and move on to another question.
Jamie, we can't hear you.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, now we can.
Okay. So, as far as what would you say, we've hit on a little bit lead generation earlier. And I know we've talked about different types of schedules and stuff, but, on average, what would you say average amount day looks for you as far as lead generation? An hour? Do you spend 2 hours? Do you spend, what do you think? Why don't we start with Karen?
Well, I have to say that has changed in the past 30 days. I'm probably spending 2 to 3 hours a day with what I call lead generation, not so much, doing the Facebook ads or things like that, but, just reaching out to database and other agents that I know in the industry as well. Like, hey, let's share some listings. Here's what I have. Can I send you this? So right now, it's like 2 to 3 hours a day. Previously, it was really probably an hour a day.
Very good. What about you, Jeff? I know you talked a little bit earlier.
Yeah, no, first I spoke at a conference and I gave all my very unpopular, I found out how unpopular it was, opinion that SOI business will drastically decrease. It was already on the decline. I think that it's going to continue to decrease just from market forces and consumer behaviors. So, but the big thing for me is lead gen is, I don't necessarily personally get on the phone. For me, lead gen is more about generating the leads and allowing the artificial intelligence to do its job, and making sure that my agents or my buyer agents are doing their job. For them, kind of the expectation, the number is that they all just try to hit a day is calling 50 people. 50 people seems to be the magic number where we're able to continue to really build our pipeline. For us, it's about 30 dials per hour. So that essentially equates to about 2 hours of lead conversion per day, well, hopefully per person, but I know that really doesn't happen. So.
Gotcha. And do you do those dials, but what kind of, doing it through KV Core, or what are you using?
I use a system called Sierra, and so all the dials are done through Sierra.
Hi, can
It's
you
called
spell
Sierra.
that?
Yeah, can you put
Yeah.
it in the chat?
Sierra Interactive, sure.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, and how about Yui?
Yeah. So I gonna interject. Just a thought on the other side of the coin. So this way, I think this is a good way for the audience to think about. So instead of lead generation, I would say think about lead attraction. Like agent attraction. So how do you attract your lead instead of generating it? How do you actually attract the lead to you? How do people attract to you? Think about the question like, what is the thing that you have that nobody else have? What kind of post that you post on Facebook? Is it inspiring people? Is it empowering people? Or you post stuff that help spread the negative news, even further. So I would say think about this type of question. Will put you to the path, to make you connect with the right people, with the right people that you can serve. So I guess in a sense, that's how I generate my lead, by attracting the people that I like to do business with, into my circle. Other than that, I see a ton of activity in Bigger Pocket right now. So this is coming back to my previous answer about how to know your clientele. So just know where your ideal client, how do they look, what do they act, where do they hang out, and then just go to the space that where most of your ideal client hang out right now, and start interact and build relationship over there. So I guess that's how I generate my lead, by being in the right place and know what I'm looking for. Back to you, Jamie.
That's awesome, Wade. That's awesome. So let's talk about what is one of the. We'll start with Karen. And so, what is an epic failure that changed the way you set your business strategy? And during that failure, what was something maybe you had to do to go above and beyond something that was a big challenge for you that you had to overcome that changed the way you do things?
I knew you were going to ask me this question. This is probably the hardest question, I think, from the list that we have because, I'm sure I had a ton of epic failures, but it's hard. It's hard to remember. I'm trying to think of something that comes specifically to mind. Probably the one that sticks out is when I was newer in the industry, I missed because someone, an agent put it in really tiny print, 3% closing costs. And I hate to even admit that, but I'm going to, that's just, we're being transparent. So for me, it was not understanding the contract, not seeing where there was a place to put a closing costs where I didn't catch it, nor did my seller catch it. And me personally, as because of my personality, I ate it. Which luckily it was a large home sale, so I really didn't take a loss. I just had to give up, probably 75% of my commission. But so for that epic failure really taught me that don't take things for granted. Don't get slack. I've been in the business 23 years. I admit to myself every day that I don't know anything, that I don't know everything, and just to make sure that you're covering all your bases. And one little clue an attorney taught me is take the contract for your state, cut out all the areas that need to be filled in or that can be filled in. And if you're new in the business, use that as a template and teach yourself those areas. And no matter how long you've been in the business, make sure you double check those. So that's my advice.
That is some good advice. That could save a lot of people a lot of heartaches for sure. Okay, how about you, Jeff?
Sure. So, I was going off of one of my best years. So as a team, we sold 37 million. I personally did 32 million of that. So, I was going off a real big high. I was primarily pretty much all seller side of the business. And a big part of my lead gen was through radio. And as the market was shifting and becoming hotter and hotter sellers market, avenues such as mass media avenues, they don't pool as well. So my biggest mistake was I felt that it was a time to double down. So I transitioned and moved over to TV. Which in my market equated to a $140,000 ad buy. And that $140,000 ad buy, I made $16,000 in commissions. So, and in doing all of that, it took me longer than I should have for me to reposition my focus and my company from a listing focused team to a buyer-focused team, which I would say we're more of a buyer-focused team now. So how I overcame all of that was, like I said, we generated 1,300 leads in January, so 1,400 leads. So you just have to keep your eye on the different market and keep your eye on trends that are happening. And as an example for what I learned, I felt that, this might be an opportunity where sellers are again seeking out experienced agents and not necessarily any Joe Schmo's aunts or uncle's best friend who could sell a house. So I've dipped my toes starting earlier this week back into the radio world. So it's just, that was definitely my biggest mistake that put a lot of strain on my company as well as my family was making that bet. Yeah.
How about you, Lee?
Yeah, I try to think about this, but I don't have an epic failure per se. Finger crossed. Like nothing epic that happened yet. But if I take a look back, on all the failure, that I have, I have a lot of failure, but it's not like that epic. But I have a lot of them, and when I look at that, a lot of the thing, a lot of the bad decision that I make, is come from greed. Like this is where I get the money part, go over my head and forgot about the value that I deliver to the marketplace, and that's
Gotcha.
where I see. This is why I see most of my failure is, but yeah, so the formula is simple. The amount you get paid is proportion to the value that you deliver to the market. So I would say for me, I kind of track my decision, and then I kind of use that as a beacon when I was making decision. So if I get paid so much, but I don't feel that the value that I deliver to the market is enough, that's where you have a problem. So I would say, don't be afraid of failure. Make mistake. I make a ton of them. But I fail forward. So learn from them. Failing forward. I picked the wrong buyer. I picked the wrong seller. I just make a ton of mistake. But then I take responsibility for it. And I learn from it. Yeah, back to you, Jamie. You still there?
Jamie, are you talking? Because we can't hear you.
He's typing.
Okay. Oh, so I guess while we're waiting for Jamie, I guess all four of us, we're free to take any any question from the audience.
Yeah, good idea.
Yes, can I ask you a question, Hui?
Go ahead.
Yes, I'm Vietnamese like you. I am from the Boston market like Jeff. I am very inspired and uplifted by how you focus your niche market and particularly investors and business owners, because you were mentioning that.
Maybe she just has her hand up. Who else has a question? You can type it in the chat box.
I think Lynn was asking.
Answer the question, or you can raise your hand and I'll call on you and you can speak. Who else would like to ask a question from one of these amazing icon agents?
Yeah, Jamie, I'm in the middle of asking Hui a question. Is it okay if I finish?
Go ahead.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask you, you said you struggled the first 3 years, and I am too. So how did you able to maximize your time efficiently and becoming the neighborhood leader for those small businesses relationship that you built over time that you were mentioning, coming from a standpoint of contribution and giving more than what is expected, which I agree with you. How did you slowly but surely start the first step when you did that market? That was my question.
So I gonna refer back to Fee, the point that she made earlier in the leadership meeting. Become micro famous in your little area. So it's gonna be totally up to you on what you're good at. But for I guess for me, I have a specific group that I hang out with. For example, I hang out on Bigger Pocket. I hang out with local investor. And that's kind of how I build, my VIP customer, as you say, or clientele. And let's see what else I can give you. How do I start in the beginning?
Well, no, it's great what you're saying. I was gonna join the business commerce in my area.
There you go. Yeah.
Because those, just like you, I have a whole niche market of business, small owners in Dorchester, coming from restaurant, nail hair salon, construction,
there you go,
and everything. And I built them over time working at the bank for 8 years. I built that relationship with them.
Yeah, perfect. And then one thing I would add, just one little thing. Don't try to become like a guru. You have to like eat your own dog food, if you will. So if you are like an investor friendly, an Asian investor friendly, make sure you first is an investor. Otherwise, you're gonna try to show people stuff that you actually don't do for a living. So if you want to focus on, let's say, investment property, I would say, like for me personally, first become an investor, get really good at it. And then when you get really good at it, and then help other people, don't try to do it the opposite way. It's not going to
Oh my
work.
God, I love your
Yeah,
advice. Thank you so
that's
much,
great
Wei.
advice, Lee.
Yes.
That is really great advice. Hey, just to be fair and time saving here for everyone, if there's any other questions, Jeff had some, or not Jeff, Jamie had some issues, so he's out and going to try and get back in. Maybe you want to put your email or contact in the chat box, if anyone else wants to reach out to you, because you do have some great advice. Is there anyone else in the audience that has a question? No?
Hey, Karen, this is Tim Lennon from Atlanta.
Hi, Tim.
How about you putting your email into that chat box as well?
I will do that.
And if you have any special sessions that you listen to with EXP on a weekly basis or a monthly basis that you can direct agents to?
Oh gosh, I'm like a junkie right now. I'm a session junkie. I like to, unfortunately, Brad Anderson doesn't teach it, but he taught this class on how to lead generate or find leads without spending any money. And I think it's called Farming for Dollars. And I'll try it. I don't know if anyone's taken over his class, but that was like a fabulous class. Yeah, someone else is confirming Farming for Dollars. He utilized just free sources like Remine and CoreLogic and Zillow for FSBOs, expireds. And I thought that was a great class. There's so many. I can't think off the top of my head, but here's Jamie's back. But I hope that helped. But definitely the Farming for Dollars one was awesome. Maybe I don't know if it's on demand. Jamie, back to you.
Yes, I can hear now. All of a sudden, the audio just went out.
Yeah.
Awesome. Who else has some questions?
Can I just say real quick about like the free stuff, quote unquote, expireds are sometimes put in there for free. Just to let people know, I have a $1,500 demand letter from a lawyer. Otherwise, they're going to go to a class action lawsuit in front of me for calling a do not call list. These guys are getting really serious about these lawyers. They've got nothing else better to do than come after us agents for $1,500 when our deductibles are $2,500, which they darn well know. So they're also sitting at home idly doing absolutely nothing. So just keep that in mind when you're quote unquote dialing for dollars.
I see there's question on the books. So one thing I say about books is that, I don't know if any of y'all have this problem, but there's just so many books out there, that you can, like read it and get confused. So for me, I kind of pick, like the author, so let's say, if I pick Robert Kiyosaki, I'm going to go really, really deep on his material and I just don't listen to anywhere else. If you listen to Dave Ramsey and Robert Kiyosaki at the same time, you're going to get confused the hell out of your head. So pick one guy, stick with it. So I write all Robert Kiyosaki content, from sale, I love Grant Cardone, so I would say, pick an author that you like and then go really deep on their material. Don't go jumping around. It's going to be very confusing.
That is a great point. I'll go ahead and type this in the chat. We have a question. So, Robert Kiyosaki did Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and he even has a kids version of that book as well. I read that to my children when they were younger. It's kind of like a comic book, but it basically mirrors the same.
Yeah, I like Grant Cardone, Uncle G. I know he say a lot of things that he's not supposed to say, but if you go deep on his material, some of the stuff is really, really good.
Yeah, awesome stuff. Who else has some questions? Does Sierra Active make sure they don't call someone on the do not call list?
No, and it wasn't Sierra. Well, first off, any lead that's in my CRM is there's a privacy policy. They've agreed to terms when they are acquired, quote unquote, as a lead. So I'm not worried about calling people in my CRM. These were expireds that were called in a system called Vulcan 7.
Gotcha.
I have a question for Jeff. Can I ask if anyone's not?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Jeff, thanks for being from Massachusetts. You rock, first of all. And I've been listening to everything you say. And are you following the millionaire real estate agent model to try to build your team at all? I was just curious.
You mean Gary Keller's model?
Yes, the 7 level of his building his business.
Well, he's actually wrong. There's actually 8 levels, and the 8th level is declaring bankruptcy. But no, I used to be a real estate coach. I have a Facebook group. It's called the Another Level Real Estate Mastermind that I manage. So I talk with a lot of people. And in being a coach and talking with a lot of people, one of the true things that I learned was that there really isn't one model that works for everyone. I can tell you right now, I have actually my upline person, right, who sponsored me. He's down in Virginia, and he can take stuff, and I could bring it up here, and guess what? It works amazingly down there, but it doesn't work here. And so, that's unfortunately there's a lot of testing, and also there's a lot to do with the leader, right? The leader in itself of the organization is going to be so much is tied around that leader, all of us, right? And learning how to become a better leader. So, things that work for other people don't necessarily work for me because, for example, I'm not as rigid in requiring all of my agents to be in the office every single day, right? There isn't a model out there. I mean, really what I do is I talk to as many people as humanly possible, learn what's working, and then talk to other people about what is working, and then try to figure out the best approach for what's going to work in my market. And what I found is that Massachusetts is definitely one of the more challenging markets out there in regards just in the Boston metro market. We have 35,000 agents in our MLS. So it really is market specific.
Yes,
Jamie.
yes, I agree with you. Thank you.
Yep.
Hey, let me just add a little on that. So
Go ahead, please.
yeah, so Lynn, she bring up a really interesting point, because I have a problem, with team. I quit my job, not to go to another job per se, like have to answer to like a team leader, a broker, stuff like that. So I would hesitate when I quit, because I don't want to quit a job to find another job, but I don't want to work by myself either. Working by yourself is really hard. So I just found that, EXP, we have this really, really good structure, like a group, your rev share group. Like for me, you guys feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like, your rev share group is like between, like a single solo agent and a team structure, This is like a perfect, structure for you, for any agent out there. You can work by yourself, have a platform that you can rely on, and then, you have your group to support you, and then you have your group, your rev share group that, that you can pull into and help them successful. So for me, like EXP is just like a perfect structure, anyhow. If you want to own your business per se.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Not work, not to have a job, but to actually own your business. And I cannot have good thing to say enough about this. This is a very unique structure that there's no other company that have this.
I absolutely agree with you. Yeah, in your rev share, you could look for people. If you're in a big area like a Boston or Houston, you can look for to bring on agents in different parts of town, so that when you do get business, you're not driving an hour and 15 minutes to listing or to bring a buyer out. You already have that off. So kind of like a loose.
Exactly. Yeah.
Where you always have somebody that you can refer out to at a different part of your city, so that you stay hyper focused on your immediate area.
Yeah. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. So it's like an extended team. I don't know if that's the correct word for it, but I think the group structure in EXP is just amazing.
Yep. And it looks like Carrie says she's just starting out. So welcome, Carrie, is I guess a new agent, and you are definitely at the right place at the right time here with EXP. Sure. Who else has some questions that you'd like to ask one of our icons? Unmute yourself, or you can type a question in the chat window. So I have about 155 people here.
How much do you all use Workplace?
Never.
Okay, so the question is, how do we, Tim asked, can you be a little bit more specific, Tim, on your Workplace question?
Yeah, do you go into Workplace? Are you joining groups? What do you find the most valuable when you get into Workplace, etc.?
Yeah, so actually, let me answer this question because I was struggle with this in the beginning. You log in, there's a ton of notification, you don't know where to go. So first of all, I have to, like unenroll myself on all the other group, just basically mute everything because there's just so much in there. And then I slowly go back, find a group that I really want to focus on. For example, Facebook lead generation is the stuff that I'm learning right now. The rev share 2x20. So I just focus on a certain group, so that way I can go in and learn that information. And also, Workspace, is a great place for me, and for everybody to get to know other agents because, I cannot tell you enough, how important is the referral businesses, and the only way you get referral is that, I have to know you or you have to know me. Otherwise, if we don't know each other, it's going to be very hard for us to referring, client to each other. So get to know your fellow agent, involve in a conversation, put in, a lot of constructs that, putting, adding value into Workspace. And before you know it, like right now, I'm a part of group, One EXP. And before I know it, I have a ton of friends and a ton of good clients and a ton of good agents to hang out with already. So go there, put in some value, find your tribe and, deliver more value.
That is some great advice. We have Stephanie. Do you have any advice for new agents who develop skills in addition to watching EXP classes while in quarantine? So which icon would like to answer that?
I mean, I'll take that one. I honestly feel that video, and again, touching on what we said in our leadership meeting, Fee was talking about, be the niche expert. Right now, you could be going around to all the restaurants and letting people know which ones are open, which ones are open for takeout. That's what I would recommend, because obviously you can only watch classes and do that so much, in a day. You can practice scripts, you can role play, get on the phone with your sponsor and say, hey, I want you to, teach me how you did one thing, and think of that one thing that you want them to teach you, whether it's calling a FSBO, calling an expired, or, maybe agent attraction. It's a great time where there's a lot of struggling realtors out there. Invite your best friend that's a realtor, one of your closest realtor friends, give them a pass, tell them to meet you, take a class with them. So I think engaging in those things, you got to think outside the box. But I definitely think video, pick your area that you want to be your expert niche, and take your camera and just start filming. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect. And that's what I learned. It does not have to be perfect. Film the neighborhoods. Here's a good one. Whatever your farm is, let's say you have a big area where there's parks for the neighborhood children and things like that. Start filming, the neighborhoods and the amenities.
Absolutely. I've recently wrapped up. I'm going to continue to go on for it was really cool just giving away prizes and kind of So I'm just continuing on, and just continuing to do a Facebook Live video every day. It actually did get a listing appointment. All right. Any other questions?
I want to, Jamie, can I add one resource for the entire group, if you don't mind? So this one on
Sure, go ahead.
podcast, the podcast. I don't know if any of you guys have started to build your own podcast channel. I think that's one of the best ways, aside from YouTube and Facebook social media, to get your brand out. But I listened this morning to the Center for Realtors Development podcast. That's the name of the podcast. And on the chapter 38, volume 038, virtual showings with Craig Wilburn. It is so amazing how he used to get 145 people to his open house when there was no COVID. Now he's doing everything through virtual tour with a team of 4 people, one at home, just, monitoring the whole thing and answering any feedback anybody has on the social media platform, and also doing watch video parties with Facebook after he does those videos. So I just want to throw that out for any agents in any local state that is having a hard time meeting clients face to face and would like to prefer doing that platform.
Awesome.
Can you go ahead and type that in there? Lynn, go ahead and type that in the chat, please.
Yes, I will do that.
Anybody else have any questions? Anything that's burning that you'd like to ask one of these amazing icons?
Sorry, what was the name of that again? I just closed the chat box.
Yeah, Lynn is typing it in there right now. So just
Right, I'm not in the world anymore. I'm only on mobile. So what was the name of it again?
Gotcha. It's just for Realtor Development Podcast. Center for Realtor Development Podcast.
I'll second. I was just going to say, I'll second
ahead,
the
Jeff.
video in regards to how important video is. I'm not doing Facebook Lives. I'm doing very targeted and pinpointed videos. If you go to the Chubb Realty Group Facebook page and then go into videos, you can see a lot of my videos that I'm doing, which I do all that video. Just 2 days ago, I shot 10 videos, right? And that content will last me for, we put in a campaign, will last me literally forever, but the video content you can do a lot of right now and just kind of have in your back pocket to slowly release.
Okay, great stuff, Jeff. And for those of you who are only on their cell phones, that Center for Realtor Development podcast was track 38, virtual showings with Craig Wilburn. Definitely can check that out. Thank you so much, Lynn, for sharing that. Anybody else they would like to ask?
I have a question. This is Amy. I'm from Portland, Oregon, and I have a niche market in floating homes. My question is, and I've been a broker for 21 years, and I still sometimes have issues with having the energy or the mental mindset to pick up the phone again, especially if it's a no news update or if it's, whatever. What do you do to rally your mental mindset outside of salsa dancing?
Who would like to answer?
I can take this first, and then you guys can chip in. So, I listen to a lot of, I would say my mindset podcast, and that helped me start my day going, like in the morning. Like instead of open CNBC or CNN, you open up like a podcast that talk about mental mindset, and that kind of get your mood, going in the right way in the morning already. And I would say, one agent I recently know, his name is John Stye in Canada. I don't know if any of y'all know him. He got a really cool, Zoom meeting. Whenever you can just join in, and then you can see your fellow agent making call, making prospecting call, follow up call, and we're all in this Zoom meeting that we can see each other and actually, listen to each other, making phone call, listen to people getting yelled at, stuff like that. So I joined those phone call, and it's really motivating me. Like, hey, I'm not doing this alone. The problem I have, everybody else doing it, but they do it anyway, and they get through the day. So that's really motivating me. So I would say, just find a group that you work with really well and get together, block some time and do some phone call together. Y'all want to add anything to that?
I think that's great advice. Yeah, it's hard. I know for me, I struggle with that, especially with agent attraction. Because I always remember what my sponsor told me. You're coming from a place of contribution. There could be, like I said, when someone reached out to me, I was like, wow. And I've actually had people tell me how intimidated they were to call me, and I'm like, really? So I think we have to get out of our mindset. And for me, I just try and think to myself, like, okay, look, we're all, what's the worst that's going to happen? And we're all people. We're all the same. Doesn't matter how much I've sold, how much you've sold. We're all the same, and you have to look at yourself as an equal to the person that you're calling, and just have an authentic conversation. Hey, what's going on? I think what I found is I tried to script the call too much, and then it would make me nervous. So I think just come from a place of contribution and just say, hey, how's it going? Is there anything, that you're struggling with right now? So that's what I would recommend.
I think that's the big part right there. Karen just said it. So, your mindset's everything. I apologize. I forget who asked the question's name. But your mindset is everything. So, if you have the mindset that you're annoying this person, then yeah, it's going to be miserable. But, the mindset that I tell my agents when they're calling and that you need to keep in mind, and then I'm calling is, hey, look, they reached out because for a reason, right? They clicked on that ad for a reason. They have a need, and you're the person to help bridge that need. So, if your mindset is that you are, just like Karen said, coming from a place of assistance, coming from a place of contribution, then it's gonna be a lot easier to pick up that phone. But if your mindset is, I'm just calling these people to hound them, then you're going to be miserable. So, just work on your mindset would be my recommendation. And it's tough, right? You said you're in the business 21 years. I've been here for, 13 years. I mean, it is tough, especially the longer we've been here, and, when we don't have to do it and then having to go back into doing it. I get it, and I feel for you, but truly just work on your mindset.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that we can do to help keep all of us top of mind right now, top of mind awareness, TOMA, is go ahead and look at your icon slide where it shows, each one of the icon agents out there. I know I just went on Jeffrey's Facebook page when he mentioned his video, so I'm going to be checking that out a little bit later today. But go ahead and put a like on each one of the icons' Facebook pages. That will not only help them get some more likes and get some more traction. Also look up their Instagram pages or any other social media, YouTube, whatever you can find on them, and go ahead and like all of their pages. So that would be something, just group they've given now almost an hour and a half of their time. So that'd be something great that we can do for them. Thank you. Just quickly go on each one of their Facebook pages, Instagram pages, YouTube, and just give them a quick like, leave a great comment. You can even leave a recommendation. You may not be a client of one of them, but you can leave a recommendation of like what you heard today. Oh my gosh, Jeff did an amazing job training us in class today, or it was just absolutely inspired me. He's not only a great real estate agent, but he's also a great trainer and teacher. Just leaving a comment on there would definitely help any of these icon agents, kind of continue to expand their social media presence. So, any other questions?
I want to thank all four of you guys on the platform today. Thank you for sharing these valuable insights. And we all have a lot on our plate to do, even though we don't. We got to take advantage of the downtime and, like Jeff say, polish up on your skill set, your audio, video, and also Karen had mentioned it multiple times. Just keep doing things, and you'll get it it doesn't have to be perfect, but as you create the momentum and massive action, you will become the best version of yourself during the process.
Yeah, don't be complacent right now. It's the worst thing you could do.
Not rest on your laurels right now. Right now, you need to be going back to your basics and doing all the things maybe you used to do when you were really rocking it and killing it. Just going back to those basics. I actually enrolled in a coaching class. So I'm actually in a group once a week, 1 hour a week coaching class, and just helping me to be held accountable, filling out my contact sheets every day, make sure I'm doing social media interactions every day, just to hold myself accountable, because naturally we'll want to let some of this stuff kind of get to us. Anybody else? I think we're going to wrap up here. We'll take one last question.
I don't have a question, but I wanted to tell some things about mindset. When we are calling, I always have the mindset that every no, you're closer to a yes, because you're gonna have no's, but when you get that yes, then you can feel good about yourself that you got what you were looking for, and you're providing something that they need, and just have the mindset that you will get a yes out of the efforts that you're putting.
Absolutely. You're actually doing these folks a favor right now when you're calling. And also, one of the things, come to them with maybe some kind of, like, for example, if you can't find toilet paper or things like that in your area, I know in our area about 2 miles from my house is a little Hispanic supermarket. We call it supermercado, and they are full of toilet paper and cleaning supplies, and where you can go to the Kroger right around the corner and there's nothing. So being able to call people and just say, hey, I talked to one of my clients the other day, and I was like, hey, just checking on you, and he was telling me he couldn't find toilet paper. I was like, here's where you need to go. So just being able to have the resources, if you have access to some resources that are scarce right now because of everything, that's an easy way to create a great relationship with somebody and add value to them and help them out.
All right, I got to wrap off here. So yeah,
Yeah,
thanks
absolutely.
everyone.
So let's go ahead and wrap up. And so let's if you guys have any of the questions, you can look up each one of these icons on Workplace. Send a workplace chat. Send them a message. Send them an email. And just see if you have any further questions. And we appreciate you guys. We appreciate you guys all serving. If you guys can all go into your settings there, and let's all hit F4 and F2, and let's give all of these icons a big clap or cheer. Let's go for it.
Thank you, guys.
All right, wrapping up now. Thank you, everyone.
All right, you guys have a blessed day. Stay safe.